Hi, this is attorney Jamie Miller, and I'd like to welcome you to the Miller Law Chronicles, where we will simplify the legal maze by giving you clarity and confidence as you go through the legal process. Today, I'm really excited to have another client join us today, Ian Hafert. Ian is from here in Milwaukee. We filed a bankruptcy for Ian in October of 2022, so just about a year ago. Ian, when he came to our office, was going through a lot of issues, and you'll hear about that during the podcast. He's very honest that in 2018, he went through a divorce, started incurring debt that he just couldn't get rid of. He was working hour after hour to meet his bills and meet his obligations. Because he was working so much, he really wasn't able to spend as much time with his daughter, his young daughter, as he would wanted. And he was faced with the challenging decision to file bankruptcy. So you're going to hear about his journey, about his conversations with his father, his decision-making process, and whether filing bankruptcy was a good thing or not. And ultimately, the decision to file bankruptcy, how the process went, and then his journey to finding much better employment, having much better relationship with his family and his daughter, and now going from being homeless before he filed bankruptcy to having a job, and he's able to support his family, and things are just really going much better for Ian. So really happy to have you listen into this podcast. I think it'll give you some great information on what people are dealing with when they're faced with the decision of having to file for bankruptcy. And I appreciate you listening. If you have a chance, please follow us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, or on YouTube. Thank you so much. Hi, this is attorney Jamie Miller from the Miller Law Chronicles. And today we're very fortunate to have Ian Hafert join us. And we're going to talk about Ian's journey into having some debt and then filing a Chapter 7 bankruptcy back in 2022, and how it's helped him improve his credit and get back on its feet. Ian, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you taking your time and talking about your journey.
Thank you for having me.
It's wonderful. And we met back in the fall of 2022. And at that time, you had come to our office and you indicated that you had some problems with some debts. Tell us a little bit about what precipitated you making that phone call to us, what was going on in your life at that time that led you to make the call to our firm reaching out for help.
I had been fighting with 2 jobs trying to make bills work so that I could support my family. Ended up getting divorced, and bills weren't getting any better. They started racking up further, and I couldn't afford to continue paying them while having to try and deal with the problems personally that I had.
Right. It's interesting. And I appreciate you talking about a little bit what brought on the need to file bankruptcy, because I talk with a lot of people, and some people think, hey, people are filing bankruptcy because of irresponsible spending. I know that prior to 2022, you were meeting your obligations as they came due, and that you just mentioned that you went through a divorce, you had some job issues that kind of forced you into filing bankruptcy. It's not something that anybody wants to do. And tell me a little bit about maybe what concerns you had about not filing bankruptcy and just trying to continue with doing what you were doing. Did you think about that part of it is before you contacted us?
Yes, I had been talking with my dad about it, and I was telling him that I was trying to continue paying the bills and trying to work harder, some more hours, whatever I needed to do to be able to make things work for covering my daughter and trying to get out of the mess that I was in with the bills. And I had been having this conversation with him. I think it was for over a year's time span. And he said, you just need to go and have bankruptcy done at this point because of still having worked harder and harder for a year's time frame and still not have gotten out of the mess that I was in.
Right. And I appreciate that. And I know that the decision to file is a hard one, but we're grateful that you gave us the opportunity to help you. When you came in, I noticed that you had a debt from a landlord. Was that from an eviction or something like that?
Yes,
Okay. And was that after you got divorced that bill came up or during,
that
before?
was within the time frame.
Okay. And was that landlord trying to garnish wages? Did they sue you
Yes.
and take a judgment against you? You had debts and you were facing garnishment. So filing the bankruptcy was one of the ways to get that stopped. So when you came in and you filed the bankruptcy, what type of relief did you feel immediately upon the filing of the bankruptcy?
I was thankful that I didn't have to start putting out money to these bills anymore. I could try and start putting aside money to attempt to get out of the personal situation I was in with my daughter because she was staying more with her mother and I had no home. So I was staying in my car. So I was able to start trying to get money set aside where I could have time with my daughter, be able to do stuff with my daughter rather than just having a phone call with her and telling her that I love her. I was able to start trying to actually get money set aside so I could get somewhere to live again. I was able to try and get better clothing so that I had something myself to wear.
It is a yeah, I know this stuff is hard to talk about, and some people think that just filing bankruptcy, get rid of debt and moving forward. But the filing of the bankruptcy in your case also impacted your family and allowed you to help reach your goals of spending more time with your child, being able to resolve homelessness and to get your own place and just get back on your feet. And I appreciate you sharing that with me. And I understand now that you're starting a new job on Monday. That's really exciting. And are you looking forward to that new opportunity?
I am. I will be able to work with somebody I've known for about 2 years and have not worked with him before, but I've been friends with him for about that time. So it'll be interesting having to work alongside him.
Right. And if you wouldn't have filed bankruptcy, a year ago or so, where do you think you would be now? What kind of problems would you be facing?
I probably wouldn't be able to even see my daughter at this point because of having to try to do everything I could by my waking moments of trying to get out of the debt that I was in.
And it's very, I just appreciate you being honest about that because that is really important because debts affect people in many different ways more than just garnishments or foreclosures and repossessions. It affects people's lives just like how it's affected yours. And I know bankruptcy isn't something that you wanted to do or something that anybody wants to do. But when faced with the options of working 70 hours a week to pay your bills or facing a garnishment, bankruptcy definitely presents an opportunity for people to rebuild their lives. And I know when you first came to us a year and a half ago or so, your credit score was in the 400s and your credit score is improving. And I think you said your credit score is up in the 600s. Is that right?
It is. And for when you said for the working hours, I was pushing 80 to 90-hour weeks for, I think it was almost 3 or 4 months when I was having these issues.
And going through the bankruptcy process, was it embarrassing for you, or did you feel like you were treated with respect, that the court treated you with respect? Did you feel you were able to maintain your dignity going through that process?
I felt like I was able to maintain it, even though I felt defeated that I needed to try and reach out for some form of an escape.
And did you feel like you had hope and that there was a better day ahead?
I had definitely felt that way. It was hard to make the choice. After it was made, I felt like I could make something of it. So there was that.
Right. And in your case, did you feel like there was any challenge in filing? I know when people file for bankruptcy, getting documents, tax returns, pay stubs, doing credit counseling, all of that can be a burden. Did you feel like you were able to gather all the information that was needed and just being honest and getting that together in a way that made your case move forward at the pace you wanted?
No, I wanted it a lot faster, but I did not get that. It took a long time.
And tell me, why do you think it took a little bit of time to get it filed?
Trying to get things situated between the many hours I was working and having to dig up the paperwork that I would need for everything that needed to be put in the bills, the different people that I had owed from. It was just having to reach out in every which direction to get the paperwork that was needed to say this is what needs to be gone.
Right. And one of the negatives in working with people and having to deal with the bankruptcy process has gotten a little bit complicated over the years. And working with people to get tax returns, pay stubs, card titles, recorded mortgage and deeds, it's something that we're constantly working on to make the process as easy as possible for people. And I know that one of the biggest roadblocks that people have in filing is gathering all that information. I know it was hard between your work hours and your family hours to get that together, but ultimately, we were able to file your case in October of 2022, get you back on your feet, get that credit moving in the right direction. Now, from our prior conversations, I know you haven't gone through our 7 steps to 720 credit restoration program. And when we're done with this call today, I'm going to make sure we get you re-signed up for that so you can get that program, because we really can get your credit score up to 720 in about 18 to 24 months after your case is filed. It takes work. It's a partnership, and I'll get you re-signed up for that. And then we also have another partner that will help you make sure your credit report is clean. You indicated your credit score is about 600. We're about a year out from your discharge. We really want to start seeing your credit score get above that. So I'm going to hook you up with our team also to make sure that we review your credit report with you and get anything that's unnecessarily negative on that credit report out and getting you move forward. Do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share with us at all?
No, I was just very thankful that my dad had told me to reach out to you guys so that way I could try to get out of this mess in my life and be able to move forward. I just recently turned 29, and when I was fighting with all this debt, I was still at like mid 20s, 25 years old. It was terrible.
Great. Excited to hear that you're back on your feet, that you're starting a new job on Monday, that hopefully you're spending great time with your daughter. And I can't thank you enough for sharing this very private and personal stuff with us, because I know it's going to be very helpful to our clients and very insightful. Ian, thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate you.
Thank you.